September 12th, 2017. Welcome to the Philly Podcast. Um, Took a little bit to get going. Freaking Mike being a pain in the ass. There was some little disconnection between YouTube and my interface, and there was a couple trials, and then that didn't really took a little bit to start to get rolling here on this Tuesday. Two Monday Night Football games to talk about. Phillies announced their schedule for next year, which includes most of the AL East, including a series against the Yankees in late June down at Citizens Bank Park, and that's something I'm going to be really looking forward to come when next season starts. So we'll get into that in a little bit, and we'll also talk. We'll still talk about the Eagles, the AP rankings, and a little baseball. So pretty much a little bit of everything today. On this Tuesday in September, as it is officially Chiefs week. And today I found out that the Chiefs open up as a 4.5 point favorite over our beloved Eagles. How do I feel about that? I think that's reasonable. I think, you're going to play a good team in their building, which is a very tough place to play in their home opener after a win against that Patriots team. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be it's going to be a real test for the Eagles for sure. It will definitely be a real test. But I really hope that the Eagles play him well this week. So yeah, they signed a kicker, what's his name, Jake Elliott, to replace Sturgis. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the special teams unit this year, obviously with Dorenbos, the whole thing with Dorenbos. Sturgis has not been. I mean, he didn't kick well in the preseason. Missed an extra point on Sunday, but he made 3 field goals. So you knew there's something up with him. But hopefully it'll be fixed. Other injury news. Another injury thing I want to bring up is how about David Johnson? I mean, that is just. I mean, the Cardinals. The Cardinals are just in bad shape right now. They're just in bad shape after having that great. Sorry, my mic's buzzing a little bit. Having that great 2015 season. Getting a team to go to the NFC Championship game. And we all thought that Bruce Arians was a master, was a football guru. I think he still is. But they had a very good team in 2015. They had a very good team in 2015. Carson Palmer had a great year. They just had a very good team that year. I remember that Sunday night game where they went down to the link and they pretty much stomped on the Eagles. That Sunday night football game, that was the game where they clinched the NFC West. But then you bring that into last year. I mean, they were just a bad team last year. But David Johnson was a big high point for them. He was we all saw the stats. I mean, he was just a very good running back. And again, this year, he's a top running back in the league, one of the guys that you should put on draft on your fantasy team. Then Sunday happens. So it's a big loss for Arizona. It's a big loss if you're a Cardinals fan. Or, you have them on the fantasy. So, I mean, that is just a big loss. So, yeah. Last night's games, Minnesota looked very impressive. Very impressive. Sam Bradford looked like threw 2 touchdown passes to Stephon Diggs. and one to Rudolph. I think he threw 3 touchdown passes, if I'm not mistaken, in that game last night. They completely outmatched New Orleans. And I think I heard some boos when the Adrian Peterson came out of the other tunnel or got introduced, whoever his name is. I mean, Adrian. I mean, that's just terrible. I mean, that's a guy that's a guy that pretty much put your team on the map. I mean, come on. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's just like with Boston fans, doing with Isaiah Thomas, burning Isaiah Thomas jerseys when a guy, you know, after he got traded, he pretty much played the day after his sister died. He played the day after his sister died, and he was like one of the leaders of the Celtics team. I mean, come on. I mean, he showed. I mean, if he shows a lot of, if he helps your team a lot, there is no reason to boo. I mean, if you see what Philly, I mean, I think the thing is with our fans, we are just so classy. We're just so classy. Um, we hate it when players leave and they say bad stuff about our team, but we like it when our players, thank us, treat us well, and that's what they deserve, and we applaud them. Like Chase Utley and Carlos Ruiz, not Jason Worth, not Jason Worth. So just that's one thing I pointed out. But Bradford looked like a very experienced quarterback. He looked like a very experienced quarterback last night for Minnesota. Then we get in the late game, probably the latest game you'll see all year. The second game of the Monday night doubleheader with Los Angeles Chargers and Denver Broncos. It was a very close game, but the Broncos ended up pulling away. Melvin Gordon 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen had a touchdown. Then you had McManus make that field goal to win the game for Denver, and it was that big win for them. But I think that division is all to Oakland. So they are just a very good football team. The Raiders, they're just a very good football team. But it's nice seeing a divisional game. For that Monday night. So yeah, that's the last that we'll see of football come Thursday night, which I think is the Bengals and the Texans. It's a Thursday night football game. And Thursday night games are obviously shit, but it's football. We'll take it. So yeah. What else? So we are a few days away. Not a few days away, but we are a good 5-6 days from the game on Sunday. The Eagles play the Chiefs. I haven't really looked into. I mean, I obviously watched the game on Thursday night. I obviously watched. I know who the big playmakers are for Kansas City. I know how effective they are. You have guys like Tyreek Hill. You have guys like Travis Kelce. You have guys like, Kareem Hunt had a great game for them. They have a lot of good players, especially on the offense side of the ball. Alex Smith, he's playing with a lot. I think he has a little fire in him because they did they're doing the whole thing with Mahomes. He's like pulling the P. I mean, Andy Reid obviously does that a lot. Did that with Peterson and McNabb. Now he's doing it with Smith and Mahomes. With that goal quarterback thing, and now Alex Smith wants to, he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He has a little bit of fire in him. He wants to play very good football. Anyway, I think these two teams are similar. You look at both of them. Both of their best defensive backs are out. Obviously, Eric Berry out for the year for Kansas City. Ronald Darby's only out for 4 to 6 weeks, which was a blessing. Then you look at the offensive side of the ball. I mean, I think, Travis Kelce, I know he's a tight end. I think he's a better receiving tight end than Ertz. We know that. But you look at the receiving weapons for the Eagles compared to the receiving weapons for the Chiefs. I mean, I think they only have really. I think the two guys I'm afraid of on that side of the football for them is Kelce and Hill. You might have another guy, I forget. You compare that to Jeffrey. I'll even throw in Aguilar, Ertz. Maybe Torrey Smith might break through this game. So I feel like we have more weapons. I feel like they, the running back thing, Kareem Hunt, I mean, he played one game. He played, we all know, he played one game. We have LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount had a pretty good game. So, I think we have a better running back. But, what I'm trying to say here is these two teams are similar. I mean, the coaches are similar. I mean, obviously, they coach with one another. They both have. I mean, Andy Reid's just terrible at the clock. He's just. I mean, after watching him for most of my life coach the Eagles, he is awful with the clock. Doug Peterson. I mean, he's bad with the clock too. Obviously, I mentioned that point with the whole 2-minute warning thing, kicking the field goal under 2 minutes yesterday. I think Andy Reid is just worse with the clock management. Peterson's pretty bad, but Peterson's bad with overall play. I mean, he can be bad with play calls, with the whole screen shit. I mean, it's just stupid. So I do think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I'm just trying to point out that there was a lot of similarities between these two teams. There is a lot of similarities. I think we have a better defensive line. I haven't really compared the offensive line yet. So both these teams are in similar situations. Got a big win, big week one wins, both of them. They're going to this game without their best defensive backs, two similar coaches. Almost, got good receiving talent, got good running backs. Boom. And two motivated quarterbacks. I mean, you just can't get more similar than that. I'll make my pick, later this week, obviously, of who's going to win. But, it's just, I was just thinking about that. Like, there's just a lot of similarities between these two teams. A lot of similarities. I think the Chiefs are probably the better team going into this game. They picked up a win in Foxborough. I mean, after, the game, the first game of the season, after the Patriots came back and won the Super Bowl. So, all right. So, where are we at? Okay. Hey, Mike. Mike is in the live chat. He's like, "Hey, Philly podcast." Okay. Mike ditched school the last 2 days. I mean, what's going on? Mike's probably popping a champagne because he scored the most points in fantasy this week. He had 135, 100 in that neighborhood. So congratulations, Mike. I mean, everyone in my fantasy league had an off week. I think everyone underperformed. My team underperformed. Apparently, I had the lead last night. For a point last night, I had a lead in my game. It was a very low-scoring game. I lost the game. I lost the game to not so good team, but I had Cousins and Pryor, and we all know how that went. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was just a bad week. Hopefully this week will be better. I think. I actually think the Redskins are going to go out to L.A. or whoever when they play the Rams. I think they're going to beat them. I mean, I know they have Wade Phillips, who is a great defensive mind. And I know God played a pretty good game, but you know, they're going to be hungry. Pryor's going to be hungry. They're going to go ready to play. I mean, they are going to go ready to play football. All right, so college football top 25, AP top 25. We'll talk about that for a little bit, and then we'll get into baseball, and that will be the podcast for today. AP top. There is a couple big football. I mean, for some reason, a lot of the college football games got pushed back. I have no clue why. All right, so here we go. NCAA college football polls and rankings. All right, so AP top 25 week 3. All right, here we go. Here is the rankings for this week. Alabama number 1, Oklahoma number 2, Clemson number 3, USC number 4, Penn State number 5, Washington number 6, Michigan number 7, Ohio State number 8, Oklahoma State number 9, Wisconsin 10, FSU 11, LSU 12, Georgia 13, Louisville 14, Auburn 15, Virginia Tech 16, Miami 17, K-State 18, Stanford 19, TCU 20, 21, 22 South Florida, 23 Tennessee, 24 Florida, 25 UCLA. I mean, the rankings have been pretty good. I mean, I really like them. As this week moves on, Alabama is just obviously a great team, so we can throw that out. Oklahoma deserves that number 2 spot. I mean, they went into Columbus and they blew out Ohio State. Clemson, Kelly Bryant is the shit. They go up again with a big test against Louisville, who is number 14 at Louisville. It's a big game. It is a big game. Clemson, I think, opens up as a 2.5 point favorite. Big test for Kelly Bryant is, I think this is his first road game playing as the starting quarterback for Clemson. USC number 4. I mean, they beat Stanford, a very good game for them. So, they deserve that. Penn State number 5. I mean, Penn State, listen, if they played I think, if they played a quality opponent in this first couple weeks, they would find themselves in the top 4. Who do they play this week? I'm looking that up right now. Okay, so they're playing Georgia State, so they'll probably beat them, and then they play at Iowa, which could be a tough game. I mean, obviously playing on the road is obviously very tough, but they won a rivalry game against Pitt, so good for them. Washington number 6, Michigan number 7. Michigan's going to play Air Force this weekend, so nothing big there. They'll probably beat them. They're playing at home. Ohio State drops down to 8. I personally thought that they will probably get out of the top 10 after that just blowout loss. I don't know. That was probably dumb on my part, but it is what it is. Ohio State, they're playing Army this week, so I mean, it could be nice. They could get a sneak by with a win there to remain in the top 10. But after that game against Oklahoma, it just shows you that Ohio State is not going to be a playoff team this year, which is odd because in the 2 of the 3 years that they've been a playoff has been around, Ohio State was in, and they won the very first one. So, yeah. Florida State won. Yeah, I mean, Georgia moves up to 13, Louisville 14, Auburn drops to 15, Miami. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the rankings. I mean, I have really no problem with them. So, I mean, Georgia, I think Georgia that's a good spot where Georgia belongs, obviously going in the South Bend, winning that game by a point. So, yeah. So, that was, they had a very nice win against us, Notre Dame. So, they played a very, it was tough. I mean, they could have lost that game, which would have dropped them, either dropped them far in the rankings or possibly even out if they lost that game. But they held on to one. But them LSU, them and LSU are probably the best SEC talent other than Alabama and Auburn. So Georgia, LSU, and Auburn are probably the best SEC talent other than Alabama. So, they're pretty good. So that's the top 25 for this week. I pretty much agree with most of it. I really do. All right, so baseball. So Indians keep winning games. We're talking baseball now. If you didn't realize that, the Indians keep winning baseball games. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the Dodgers. They are just, what's going on with them? I mean, seriously, what's going on with the LA Dodgers? I mean, they're just, they're just not playing good baseball. Cleveland's winning, LA's losing. They are. I mean, the Dodgers have to figure out what the hell is going on. I mean, seriously, because there's some in their head that's, there's just something. I mean, it's just bad for them. So that's that. Cleveland keeps winning. I mean, they're just ridiculous. I mean, if they keep even if they lose the winning streak, and if they keep winning games and they keep staying consistent, they are going to be so good going in the playoffs. Yankees are still trying to find a playoffs. I mean, they're still trying to they're still trying to keep the wild card lead. It was weird to watch those highlights last night in that setting at Citi Field, and it was just weird. There's not a lot of neutral site games in baseball. There is not. I know there's one actually down at Tropicana Field, but that was just a weird highlight to watch because I was actually out up at Citi Field this year. If you missed that, podcast, and, it's just weird. It was just but the Yankees. I mean, it's like more like 3 extra Yankees home games because they are playing in the Yankees home city, so. It's just cool. And plus in Citi Field, they shut down the second and third levels. I mean, it was just the first level, thing. See how much these tickets are for that. I don't think anybody's hit a home run yet there, too. So I wonder what the whole deal is with the Apple. All right, Yankees, Rays. Yeah, they're sold out because they probably it was probably just the first level. Yeah, it's just the first level. Yeah. Yeah, but it was very weird not seeing a home, the Mets play at Citi Field, play a baseball game at Citi Field instead of was the Yankees and the Rays. So that series continues tonight. Philly's schedule. I mean, they open a series with the Marlins tonight, and here is the schedule. I'm not going to name game by game with the schedule. I mean, it's just a pain in the ass. So, yeah. But the schedule apparently does include maybe the Williamsport game for the Little League World Series. So I'm glad that they are finally including Philly in that mix. Last year they started with the Pirates in that whole Little League Classic. Now they're going with the Phillies. They're going to play the Mets. They're supposed to play the Mets in that game. So instead of 82 home games, they're going to play 81 at Citizens Bank Park. I mean, it'll be pretty cool to see the Phillies play the Mets over in Williamsport. So yeah, hold on, let me just try and get the schedule. Hold on, here we go. All right, so they open against Atlanta, do they? All right, so they open up March 29th in Atlanta. So they play 3 games in the month of March. 29, 30, 31st. So it begins on a Thursday. So they're on the road for the first 2 series of the season at Atlanta, at the Mets. So they're not playing the Reds. The home opener is a 3:05 game against the Marlins on the 5th of April. Then they're off that Friday, and then they play, and then they play in Miami. And then that's a homestand, so it's Miami, and then they go to play Cincinnati. Then they're at Tampa Bay, at Atlanta again, versus Pitt. Now they come back home and they play Pittsburgh, Arizona, Atlanta. Then they go Then they go to play Miami at Miami in Marlins Park. That's a 3-game set to begin May. Then they go down to Washington, play the Nats. Then they come back home, play the Giants, the Mets. Then they go down to Baltimore to play the Orioles. They're out at St. Louis to play the Cardinals. Then they come back home to play the Braves. Then they have a weekend series against Toronto. Then they go out to play LA to end the month of May. June, they open up at San Francisco, then at Chicago, home against Milwaukee, home against Colorado, at Milwaukee, back home against St. Louis, at Washington. And now the series that I'm most excited for, that the Phillies will play, is versus the New York Yankees, the 25th, 26th, and 27th of June. I mean, I'm going to have to hit at least one of those games. I know I'm going to be able to hit one, and I will. And then after the Yankee series, they play against Washington for the homestand. Kind of wish the Yankees. I had a feeling that they were going to play the Yankees at home. And then they come and then they play the Orioles at home. Then they're at Pittsburgh, at the Mets for a road. I mean, yeah, at Marlins, All-Star break versus San Diego at home, Dodgers at home, the Reds away, the Red Sox away to end the month of July. Then August, home against Miami, away against Arizona, away against San Diego, home versus the Red Sox, away against the Mets, away against the Nationals, away against the Blue Jays, away against the Nationals. No, home versus the Nationals. And then to end up the month of August, they play the Cubs into September. This is the Cubs series. At Marlins, at Mets, home against the Nationals, home against the Marlins, home against the Mets, at the Braves, at the Rockies, Braves. And that's the season. obviously excited for the Yankee series. I mean, when do the Yankees ever come to Philadelphia other than the 2009 World Series? There's going to be a lot of Yankee fans down at Citizens Bank Park, but it will be interesting. So for that, so as soon as the single game tickets are going to go on sale, I'm going to buy all 3 games. See if I can go to all 3 games, hit at least one. I don't know. I'll figure it out. All right. So yeah. So that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or no, not tomorrow. There might be no podcast tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. But definitely Thursday, Friday. Friday we'll get our picks in for college. I'll probably get the NFL picks in too. So yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.